Tobi Altizer is here. Tobi Altizer.
It's good to be back, Bart. Good to be back. It's if you can't tell, if you're just listening, I'm wearing some Bucks gear, wearing some Brewers gear. My teams all suck out here. Recording this, what day is today? Thursday.
Yeah.
I was at both games. The Nationals got shut out against the O's. Made Dean Kramer and Kyle Bradish look like Cy Young candidates. So my team's I'm sick of them right now.
I don't even know who those guys are. You just said.
That's what I'm saying. And they pitch like Cy Young candidates. So that should tell you how the Nationals are this year.
Have you been like press row covering the team?
More so that I got a credential and I have nothing else to do. So I go down to the stadium.
Yeah.
Pretend like I'm a media guy, but really I'm just a fan that gets a free ticket and sits in the press box.
How is their press vibe at Nationals Park compared to the Brewers?
Brewers feels more like a community. I would say Wisconsin in general feels more like a community. You know, people walking up, talking to each other and doing various things. And also, I've heard people complain about it. I always joked about the Brewers media members and announcers complaining about how high the Nationals press box is. I get it, man. I get it. We're above the third deck there. Like we're up there with the nosebleeds. And the press box for the writers is even below where the announcers are. So they really are up there as high as you can possibly be. Whereas Miller Park's nice. You're right there above the loge level and nice view. Occasionally a foul ball comes in there. No chance of foul balls ever coming into the Nationals Park press box.
No, like a drone might or an airplane might.
Very true.
Or a hot air balloon, but not a foul ball. Should I take my kid to this on Friday? I just got this email. The Bucks are holding a send-off rally to go to Miami at the airport at 2:00.
Ooh.
I mean, he likes planes. He's been on a plane.
I don't know. I would say no.
Well, because he doesn't have daycare on Friday. They have parent-teacher conferences for a 3-year-old.
I would say no.
The first time we had parent-teacher conferences, he had just been in a new class for 2 weeks, so the teachers didn't really know him. And they're like, we sat down and we're like, so tell us about our son. And they're like, what can we say about him? What can we say? And then the other teacher goes, he likes to do the yoga. Ah, yes, he likes to do the yoga.
So he's not like his dad at all.
No. I said this on yesterday's show, but my wife told me, she's like, it's one thing that you're like sedentary a lot, that you are like not moving. But she's like, most of the day I see you're not even sitting up more. You just lay down all the time. So,
hey, I fully understand that. I'm a lazy person myself. And if you give me the option, I'm lounging. I'm not just sitting there.
Tobi, he mentioned that his teams suck. We have the Bucks going to Miami for game 3 in a series that's tied in the first round. You have Bradley Beal getting sued by a fan.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, by the way.
We have a Brewers team that is in first place at 14-5. And as of this taping, tied for the best record in the National League. Your team is 5-13, the Washington Nationals.
Yeah.
We have the Green Bay Packers, who are going to have 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in a row. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about, because I'm really getting to a point where I'm really like upset about how our sports are run in this country.
Yeah.
And I'm going to focus on like the fact that these teams are owned by someone. So these teams are essentially properties, and we root for them and whatever. And I think over the course of my life, I've always just assumed that my teams would be my teams. Granted, the Braves left. I never, was alive. But then the Brewers were someone else's team. There's talk of them leaving at one point. Then the Bucks, talk of them leaving. With your situation, you root for the Nationals, a team that moved, just kind of like the Brewers, only more in your lifetime. And then whatever's going on with the Commanders, which we can talk about. I'm disgusted by this A's situation. They've just bought land now in Las Vegas, MLB does not care. They're like pushing it along.
Yeah.
And then so I go back to always like people clowning the Packers for these stock sales. And I say, what I basically did was pay $300. And it's like, oh, you don't make money on it. You can't sell it. No, but what I did was I paid $300. My wife did as a present for the assurance that my favorite team will never move. And I got to think that anybody would do that. I just hate that you can root and passionate and be diehard for a team, and some guy can just leave because he can make more money elsewhere. I hate it.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for the people of Oakland, right? I mean, they had the Warriors leave from Oakland to go over to San Francisco with their new arena.
Which counts. I count that because that sucks for them.
Yeah, I mean, if it's the same thing, like they're talking about maybe moving the stadium from Maryland over to Virginia or back to DC, and it's not the same because it's different cities, but people that used to have the stadium in their backyard now have to go a decent ways to go to a game. And so for the Warriors to leave and then the Raiders to obviously leave to go to Vegas and now the A's to move, it just sucks because I don't think the problem is the Oakland fan base. The problem is Oakland ownership in terms of the Athletics because they don't want to spend any money. I mean, there was a whole movie made about how they don't want to spend any money on their franchise to make a baseball team. And good for them for finding a way to win some baseball games by looking at on-base percentage, but at some point, you got to spend some money on a baseball team. I mean, there were some times when the A's were good where it was an electric atmosphere out in Oakland, and now it's just become a laughingstock of an organization. And at least with the Nationals, they're terrible, but there's a direction. They traded Soto. They've got a lot of prospects coming up. Like, can you name me one player on the Oakland A's right now? Can you figure out who their prospects are? I have no idea what they're trying to do out there.
I can actually name you two on accident. Jesus Aguilar and Jace Peterson.
Well, also former Brewer Asturi Ruiz is out there as well.
Yeah, and that's what sucks is that if you're an Oakland fan, like what the owner's doing, you hate that he's doing it and you don't want to reward him. But also, if you don't go, then he's going to have more ammo as to like see nobody's coming. But then if you do go, you're just wasting money because he's still going to move. Like we talk a lot about Mark Atanasio here, and I don't know if he's a good owner. I don't know if he's doing everything he can to win, but I'm 99.9% sure that he would not move the team out of Milwaukee. And I think that Milwaukee, you look at it, and if you look at Milwaukee, and then if you look at like somewhere like the new thing's always attractive, so I don't know. I don't know that in my lifetime the Brewers are here forever. I don't even know that the Bucks are here forever, but I know the Packers are here forever.
It's a tough thing with ownership because with how sports teams have skyrocketed in value, where the Commanders are about to get sold for $6 billion when Snyder bought them in the late 90s for $800 million. I mean, that's absurd how much it's grown.
And did everything wrong along the way and is making $5 billion off the sale.
Exactly. So essentially in my lifetime, they've grown by $5 billion, $6 billion in valuation, and it's by nothing of Dan Snyder's doing. But how could you not, if you're a financial guy, look at a sports franchise as an investment? Like, I'm sure you guys haven't been talking about it a whole lot, but I'll give you a little in detail of the Commander sale. So Josh Harris is buying the team, right? He's the lead guy. He's the guy you hear all about. I'll give you one guess, Bart. How much do you think he's going to be percentage-wise of ownership?
Oh, I don't know, 8?
No, I mean, you have to have a minimum as the lead guy, but 30% as a majority owner. 30%. It's not like he's the front guy, and so the other guy's got 12. Magic Johnson's going to have 4%, and then there's 15 other guys sharing $3.2 billion of this thing. So it's more of an asset now, and I don't know exactly how Harris is going to view the team because he's from this area, but he owns teams out in Philly, also in Jersey. So I'm interested to see how exactly he does things here in DC. But how could you not look at these things as assets? And it's tough because at least with some of these owners, like as much as Mark Atanasio, you want him to spend more money. Like, he wants the Brewers to win. Like, whether he's going about it the right way or not, like, he cares about the Milwaukee Brewers. And, like, it's good to see the Bucks owners sitting courtside because it shows that they at least somewhat care, right? sometimes these owners aren't even around at things, right? So it's, how do you even look at a $6 billion asset as something that you should be actively involved in as a fan when, I mean, you could turn around and flip this thing in a couple of years for, who knows, maybe 2 and 3 times what you paid for it. So it's so tough with how these sports franchises are just growing in valuation because you're essentially limiting who can get in as ownership to, especially with NFL franchises, the one percenters of less than even that, because you have to have an absurd amount of money to be able to just put down the down payment for the team, much less try and actually build a franchise that's successful. And if you need to build a new stadium, it's just getting absurd how much these teams are being worth, that you're really cutting out a lot of the passionate fans because, let's be honest, the guy that's worth $100 billion probably isn't invested with every pitch of a Brewers game or every, shot at a Bucks game or even every snap of a football at whatever their favorite NFL team is.
Yeah, and there's only so many to go around. So unless leagues expand, which is an easy way for them to make money, it's the only reason the MLS is still in existence, because they just charge a bunch of people to own a team and they expand so fast. It's stupid. But like they're not if they don't expand in the MLB, maybe they do by 2, but still that's only 2 more. So you've only got 32 properties that you can buy into. I have a hot take for you.
Let's hear it.
I will tell you that right after these words. Omaha Steaks. Toby, these burgers are delicious. You know why?
Why is that?
Because they are steaks that are burgers. Mm-hmm. So you can have the juiciest homemade burgers you've ever even known. Steaks on a bun, necessarily. Filet mignon, ribeye, New York strip, sirloin, and brisket burgers. They're burgers. So if you're one of these weirdos that puts ketchup on steak, this makes a little more sense because they are steak burgers. Go to omahasteaks.com. Use the promo code XXXXX. Oh, no, Bart. That's where I say Bart. Use the promo code Bart at checkout to get another $20 off order of $129 plus more free shipping. I don't know why I'm laughing. Just buy some steaks and put my code in. I don't like when players own part of teams.
Okay, so are you talking former players, current players, obviously
Current.
other sports?
Current.
So
like Giannis and the Brewers and Rodgers and the Bucks.
Oh, man.
Because my thinking is you're already a player. You're already like gifted with this in life. Now you get to be an owner too. I get it. If you have to push me one way or the other, I'll ultimately say it's cool that Giannis is a part owner of the Brewers, but also that's an investment to him.
Yeah, but at the same point with those guys, I think it's a cool thing where, like I mentioned earlier, Wisconsin feels like more of a community than what it is out here. And I think it's more of a thing where Rodgers is saying, hey, I'm a part of Wisconsin. I own the Bucks as well. I'm not just here as your quarterback. Obviously, that's going to change here soon. But with Giannis, he's like, hey, I'm in Milwaukee. This is part of my framework. This is my city. I own part of the Brewers as well. I'm not just your star basketball player. I'm involved in the city just like you. I'm a fan of the Brewers. I have the money. I'm also a little bit in ownership as well. Like, I think that there's a rumor that Kevin Durant might get in on the Commanders sale. I think that'd be cool. He's been a lifelong Washington fan, so I don't have an issue with it. I think it's cool when guys like that, especially the two you mentioned, where they're just getting involved with the state they're in, and it feels like a way for them to get more connected with more than just the Packers or more than just the Bucks. They're getting involved in all of Wisconsin sports. I kind of like it.
Well, I mean, I'm jealous. It's like you already have.
Yeah, no, I get it. I understand. I mean, it would be cool to be that rich and then to say, I actually have a part of this team and not just a piece of paper when I don't actually have any say on what the franchise does.
I can vote on the board of directors if you're going to be real picky about it from a Packers standpoint. Let me ask you about the Bucks. 1-1 going to Miami. I think a lot of people, I mean, you were there. And you were there when I was talking people off the ledge. I mean, you gotta know what the playoff, you gotta know what it is, the ups and downs, the backs and forths. Sometimes, things do slip away from you, but when you lose to the Heat, who are bad, I think the second worst team in the playoffs outside of the Atlanta Hawks, when you lose to the Heat, who are bad, who shoot 60%, Kevin Love turned back the clock.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. Then people are starting to freak out because Giannis isn't going to play. I don't know what to tell you. What bothers me is we just went through this 2 years ago, or even last year. Last year things fell short. That's fine. But we skated through the first round. There were people that were worried when it was 1-1 against the Bulls and DeRozan went off. It's like the Bucks just at least recognize that the Bucks are better than, I don't know. It just,
if there's one team right now in Wisconsin that should get the benefit of the doubt, if they start a little bit slow or they get in a little bit of a hole, it'd be the Bucks, right?
They won it. People are like, "Oh, Wisconsin heartbreak."
They just won.
And
that's what you tweeted something about that the other day, and I replied like, "Look, man, if your hearts were really that broken that 2021 couldn't fix that, then you all really are screwed up. Like, it must be really broken, or I don't know what it is that you just won in 2021." All the circumstances that you've gone through really already in this playoffs, you went through in that 2021 run. You played without Giannis. You dealt with being down in series. You weren't even just down 0-1. You were down 0-2 in the NBA Finals, and you were smart enough to put parade chairs out. So, it's one of those things where if there's a team that should get the benefit of the doubt right now in Wisconsin, if they're in a hole, if they're struggling a little bit, it's the Bucks. And if you look at it, the Heat had played a couple of games coming into it with the play-in tournament, so they're still fresh. They're still used to playing. The Bucks have been off for a week. They were a little bit rusty. You could tell that they weren't up for the playoff intensity. Look, regular season basketball to playoff basketball is totally different. And if you haven't played in playoff environment and you've been off a whole week, getting to just play at a regular season level after being off a whole week is difficult. That's why you see coming out of the All-Star break, some of the good teams struggle, or some of the guys struggle to find a rhythm again, or the beginning of the season, the guys struggle to get going. Getting into a playoff intensity, though, after being off for an entire week is pretty tough. And so I think that's why you see Miami come out. They're on fire. The Bucks look a little bit like they're sleepwalking. And obviously then Giannis goes down, and I'm sure that adds a little bit more to it. Like, doggone it, man, we lost Giannis too. Like, at least if nothing else, we could just hand the ball to him and he'd drive it in and dunk it. So they came out game 2. They obviously knew they had to match the intensity of the Heat. They did, and they knocked down their shots. There's no question in my mind the Bucks are going to win this series. Maybe they drop one in Miami, but if I had to guess right now, it'd be Bucks in 5.
I'm just looking it up. This is confirmed by Elias Sports Bureau. Tobi's using of the phrase "doggone it" was the first time it's been uttered since 1973. You broke a 40-year stretch.
Hey, I think 50. Me and Kirk Cousins are keeping that one intact.
50. I might take my kid to this thing.
It'd be pretty cool, I'm sure. There's going to be some crazy fans, though, I bet.
The last time I took him to something like this was the Admirals had like a playoff party or like a pop-up tent at Red Arrow Park, and I took him there, and we were like the only ones there.
I don't think
Roscoe was there, so he got to meet him.
I don't think that's going to be the case with the Bucks.
They're like, "Do you want tickets for tomorrow?" I go, "No." Breaking news as we're talking: the Diamondbacks have DFA'd Madison Bumgarner.
Did they really?
They will eat $34 million of his remaining contract. Once he clears waivers, he'll be available for every team at the major league minimum of $720,000.
Oh my gosh. That is
wild. In his 5-year, $85 million deal, he had a 5.23 ERA over 69 starts.
Well, his shtick of being the get off my lawn old man and then having an ERA over 10 doesn't exactly work. Like him and Wilson Contreras jawing, and if you look at the score, it's already 3-3 early in the ball game, and he just continued to give up runs after that. Shut up, dude. You're a dinosaur at this point. You really suck at this point too. Stop being that get off my lawn dude. It's old, it's tired, and obviously the Diamondbacks were tired of it too.
I'm just checking my Twitter account real quick, searching my tweets to see if I ever tweeted anything about Bumgarner to the Brewers. There was an Ask Chuck and Winkler question on January 9th, 2019. If you had to give up 2, who would you give up? Burns, Woodruff, and Peralta to get Bumgarner. I got to go see if I answered that question. Because that could be a problem. Jesus. Toby, how you been? I miss you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I miss you guys out there in Wisconsin. I'm actually going to be back for a little while in the month of June. I'll be out there for a couple weeks, so hit you up. Maybe we'll have to go hang out, maybe see what Tim Shea's up to if he's not busy working away at CBS 58. Congrats to him, by the way.
Oh, he'll have quit by then.
Will he have quit or Kevin Holden personally fired him?
Dude's going to be working from 2 to 10 in the morning.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, 2 to 10.
He thought it was rough getting up for a 6 to 10 shift with your show.
Do you think you could ever really work 40 hours a week again? I'm not sure I could.
I don't know that I could.
Oh, we eat a lot of ramen.
I'm about to roll into the radio station and work like 4 hours, and I'm like dreading it. So,
yeah. Well, I'm at the point I do these 2-hour shows now on CBS for writer, and when they have me do a 4-hour show, I'm like,
Isn't it nice when you get like a little? You feel like you don't even have to do anything for a 2-hour show. You're like, oh yeah, just
and the guy puts me a guest, and I do it by yourself.
Oh man, like how easy is that? And then you got to do a 4-hour show, and you're like,
by myself.
Oh man,
Used
to do that every day, man. Used to do it every day.
Oh, brutal. I mean, it's not, but
well, to be fair, your show 6 to 10 was more of a 3-hour show, and you always said 1 hour of the show is just going to be absolute crap. I don't know which one it's going to be, but
yeah, that's how it works. 1 hour of the show, and then by the end, I'm replaying shit at 6. I'm replaying shit at 9.
Yeah, the best is when you replay something at 6, and I'm pretty sure you go zonk out on the couch.
I've done that. I've done that on some tough mornings.
And speaking of the Bucks, remember when you were sleeping in the studio while I was running the board from 2 to 5 for Tim?
I don't. I don't remember that. Toby, good to catch up with you, buddy.
Real quick, do you even remember that show at all?
Toby, good to catch up with you, buddy.